You want to take your digital photos and make them look like film? Well, the folks over at Dehancer have reached out to me with a Lightroom plugin that does just that. They've asked me for a review, and here it is. As far as I can tell so far, this plugin is fire. I can't believe I didn't know about it. I'm super impressed. It's really breathing new life into my photo editing process. I'm so stoked they reached out. I think you guys will be too. Plugin is a little on the pricier side at $200, but if you use the code Touchstone at checkout, it'll get you 10% off. Won't hit your pocketbook quite so hard. So if you look at their website, you can see these guys really dive in to how they've come up with these plugins and profiles. It's way more than a LUT. I don't like LUTs, never have. I feel like it takes some of my creativity away, whereas this feels more like another tool. Tons of sliders to really dial in that custom look that you want, not just slapping on a LUT or a preset and dialing up or down its intensity. There are a couple cons that I've had, and that is with some bugginess. So a couple times I've moved some sliders to make some adjustments. I see the sliders move, I see the values change, but the picture doesn't change even after the processing queue is done. When that happens, I have to do it again, and normally on the second time it works. So that's one of the negatives. And the other is just kind of learning the user interface. These guys are really technical. There's a lot of technical jargon on their website, but I've been playing with it for a few days, and I'm starting to get there, and I'm really liking what's coming out of these tools as far as editing my photos. So just a quick look at the tools that apply here to the Lightroom plugin. We have a push-pull EV meter. So when film was developed, it would react certain ways depending on if it was under or overexposed in the development process. So when you choose a profile here, you can either slide it one way or the other to get those different effects that you would have got in the darkroom. We have a film compression tool. So film behave differently in the highlights than digital does. Today, digital kind of clips a little earlier than film would, and you have some sliders here to help bring back that effect and make it look a little bit more like film with a little more gradients in your highlights. The film developer tool, so different developers would develop film in different ways, and that's just what this tool does. It gives you some different sliders to make your developing process a little more unique and a little more your own style. We have over 60 different profiles, and if you look into how they develop their profiles, it's really unique. It's really technical. Do tons of different scans at different exposures with different print heads. I mean, all kinds of things to come up with these profiles. These guys are really into this and have put a tons of work into it over the years. Some of my favorite tools, you have film grain, and this is way more in depth than the film grain slider in Lightroom, which kind of looks like it's just been slapped on top. This really works on the picture from within and on a pixel by pixel basis, adds the film grain. It's really unique and it really looks natural, gives it that textural feel. I'm super happy with this tool. So then you have your color head adjustments. So like in the old days when you'd enlarge film, you use different color print heads, and this gives you that effect of choosing what print head you'd use and giving it that kind of color cast to your images. We have halation, which is in your bright areas of red and orange. It adds kind of a glow to the effect. Then we have bloom, which is similar to halation, but it's more in bright white and highlighted areas. I kind of think of it as light spill. The light spills over in the other areas of the image. Then we have film breath and gate weave, but that is a tool for in your video editing. We'll look at that later this month when I do a review of this plugin for Dehancer. So real quick, let's hop on over here in the Lightroom, look at a couple images and what we can do. All right, so here in Lightroom, we're gonna right click on the image, go down to Edit in Dehancer Lightroom. We are going to edit a copy with Lightroom adjustments. I'll just show you this on the first image here. We have profiles, which is the film profiles, and we have presets, which is what the Dehancer team has come up with as some of their favorites for the profiles. Which presets is where we're going to start, find a couple we like. We'll just scroll through them here. The one I really liked for my image here was a Polaroid Polychrome 35mm. And just right there, Boom. I know I said I don't like presets, but I really like how that looks. I'm not going to tweak it. If I was going to save the image and print it, I'd mess around with it a little bit, but I don't want this review to drag on too long. I just want you to get an idea of how powerful and awesome this plugin is. Let's just move on to the next image. All right, jumping here through the presets. I have one that I picked out earlier I really like. It was a Kodak Aerochrome 4 125. And I just think that is beautiful. So right here, straight out of the plugin, another preset that I just really like. So now that we've taken a look at a couple presets, let's take a look at some of the tools. I'm gonna come over here to profiles. We have film types, all films, color negative, motion picture, color positive, black and white, instant, exotic, and cross, which is a cross processing where they develop films and chemicals they weren't intended for to get a unique look. We're going to start with all films. Here's that push and pull meter to adjust how it was exposed in the darkroom. And let's just tap through these, find something we like. And I'm really liking this Fujichrome Velvia 50. So over here we have all our tools. We have the source. We can adjust the exposure, temperature, tint, defringe, which is your chromatic aberrations, and a defringe radius. Just going to go through these quick here. Film developer is where we would make adjustments like they would in the darkroom for contrast, gamma correction, color, and color boost. Film compression, where we'd adjust the highlights, give it more of that film look in the highlights instead of clipping earlier. Expand is where we would expand our black and white points. The print tool actually has nothing to do with printing, but shows you what the picture would look like printed on different papers, because each paper has its own effect on the final outcome of your photograph. And here they said this is what it would look like if it was printed to Kodak Endura glossy paper. Color head, as I mentioned earlier, it's just those different color heads where you can get a slight color cast to the image. Film grain, they've applied a film grain with this profile and I rather like it. We'll leave it alone. Halation, I'm not going to mess with, but I do want to add some bloom. So if we come down here to mask mode, you can see what highlights it's targeting for our bloom effect. And I'm going to go pretty pronounced here just so you can see it after YouTube adds its compression. We're going to over exaggerate this effect a little bit. You have your source limiter. So I'm going to leave it mostly to the left, have a lot of source material here so that we can see this effect once it's applied. From there, I'm going to turn off my mask mode. I'm going to leave the detail alone and we're just going to really diffuse this out, amplify the effect, dial back our save lights, and turn up the impact. So it's a little more than I would do it for a print, but I want you guys to see the effect here. Here's with it on, here's with it off. That is the bloom effect, which I kind of consider like a light spill. It's spilling light over from your brightest areas, your whites, your highlights, into more contrasty dark areas. Very cool tool here. Let's take a look at another tool on another image. This is one of my first photographs when I used to live up in Bellingham, and this is of the Space Needle in Seattle. Let's find a profile we like. And I'm going to go with this, I don't know how you pronounce that, Agfa Color 100. Nice clean look. And we went over the tools. So let's go ahead and close these down till we get the one we're looking for. And I want to add a halation effect. Source limiter, I'm going to dial back so we get a whole lot of source material there. And we're going to turn our local diffusion up quite a bit. Turn off the mask mode. And there you go. You guys should be able to see that halation effect even after YouTube's compression. I really like the way that looks for city light photography. Anytime you have some orange or red light, it's going to give you that nice neon glow. Another awesome tool here in this Dehancer plugin. So here is after the tool, and here is before. Channeling my inner Ansel Adams, I have this black and white photograph, real crisp, real clean, high contrast, but I want to add some film grain. We're going to go ahead and stick with the original photo. Come down here to the film grain tool. And I like how that looks right off the back, but we're going to tweak it a little bit. Let's turn up the amount some. I like a real fine film grain for an image like this, so it is on the smallest size. We could turn it way up and really get that kind of gritty film look. We're going to keep it small for this. And turn up the film resolution. And I want to dial back some of this grain in the highlights and the mid-tones. And there we go. I think that is beautiful. Here is the after. There's the before. And I really do think it does an excellent job with film grain. One of the greatest tools in here. A lot better than just using the Lightroom sliders. And that is it. Our look at the Dehancer plugin. Really happy these guys reached out. It is a very computer intensive program, so I would recommend downloading the free trial. Give it a shot. If you decide to buy it, put in Touchstone in order to get that 10% discount. And I want to give a shout out and a kudos to the Dehancer team. I did reach out to these guys with a problem, and they were back to me within 24 hours, telling me that I just didn't know where to look for the proper slider. And I just think that's great customer service. All around, great experience dealing with these guys. Hope you guys give the plugin a try and let me know in the comments what you thought. Really is an amazing tool.